to you about abuse. It's not an opinion. That's the thing that many people wanted to use as an excuse. It's an opinion. Well, that opinion isn't an opinion. It's not like one of your political opinions or one of my political opinions. What do I think of my political opinions? I think they stink. However, abuse against an at-risk adult is not an opinion. Some of you have the belief that we should have all been drowned at birth. Many of you have the belief that autistic people have problems. No, you are our problems. Your assumptions. When you get punched in the face, it doesn't fucking feel good, does it? Now, when you try to turn in the person who punched you in the face because they won't stop doing it, is that a fucking opinion? No, it is very much not an opinion. When a police officer tries to break your wrist to feign an assault because he's trying to hem you up for murder, it don't feel good. Those things do not feel good. When they try to wrench your leg off of your body, it does not feel good. Now, there's a lady named Stephanie Larkin. I asked her to go away. She didn't go away. Instead, just like many women, when you ask them to go away, when you set boundaries with them, we have taught women that it means walk right over it. Why is it that we've taught women that this is okay? Why is it that you want to type crap on your Facebook like, well, for example, teach your boys it's never okay to hit girls. How about teach people it's not okay to run around hitting people? It don't matter who fucking starts it. It don't. It's not okay to run around hitting people. It is absolutely okay to defend yourself. If the law disagrees, the law does not apply. If the law says that there's no self-defense law in your state and somebody is trying to kill you, who cares about the law? The motherfucker's trying to kill you. Whether you've got a self-defense law in your state or not, you still have the right to protect your life. Then there's this teaching your little girls that they get to hit him once for free. And some of those little girls think that it resets every 30 seconds. Every time a woman is angry, she's allowed to hit a man. Allowed to. Over and over. Incessantly. That's not okay. Natalie and her predators, and my predators as well, were able to keep the crimes that they committed out of court by calling me mentally ill and threatening, harassing, and intimidating me, including multiple assaults. The police weren't going to take a report from a homeless. They never do. Not unless there's somebody who cares. We've got at least 3 or 4 dozen homeless people talking about how the police won't take a report. We've got over a dozen men speaking about how they are homeless because of abuse by their spouse. The safety issues that I was forced into through long-term abuse by law enforcement. Many of you in houses, you make excuses. You've never been homeless. You've had everything handed to you. And that is how it is. If you've never been homeless, then you have had everything handed to you because you did not ever start off with nothing. You never had to. One of the guys that was offering to help me, he's got a lot of his own issues. He really does. He also had an issue of not having his ID, and that is a very big problem. And that, well, I made leeway for. Do people make leeway for me? When every single time that I call you because I need help stopping abuse, you literally never hear what I'm saying because you're busy telling me that you're too busy. You don't care about me. Asking you to leave is not out of the question. That's not being rude or inconsiderate. We're not fucking friends. What are you doing here? You don't care who hurts me. What the fuck are you doing here? No matter what, you're going to look the other way. You're not going to speak out. I will have to beg you to look at evidence. And even if you promise me you're going to, you show me that you didn't. Caitlin Tatum, that Tanner lady, Miss Larkin. You know, half of these people I knew before Natalie was killed. They're the ones that I went to first. No matter what, I had to go to these appointments alone and was victimized repeatedly anytime that I had to do so. No matter what, these asswipes pretend it's not their job, it's not their job, it's not their job. Well, people are dead because they didn't want to do their job, and it is their job. Nebraska State Patrol needs to do something about the long-term and ongoing abuse by Scott DaCosta and every single other jurisdiction that he had me sent to so I couldn't turn him in. Meanwhile, I need a base of operations in order to do this. In order to process all of the information, I need a safe and quiet fucking place to do it. When I did have a place, I was abused out of that place. It's bad enough that everywhere that I move, I got to deal with predators in town trying to run me off. Police officers running around telling people that I'm schizophrenic and doing drugs with people in my vehicle. This shit is not fucking okay. No matter what, these people who claim to be my friends, who I knew in real life, didn't care who hurt me. To this day, don't care who hurt me. When I tell them to leave, that means it's time to leave. You have shown that you don't care who hurts me. You will help my predators to get away. Well, you post up shit like silence is violence when it comes to black folks, but what about the homeless? We account for only 1/120th the size of the black population. Yet we account for over double the number of people murdered by police every year. And it's only on the rise. I'm told because of my skin color that I need to go to the back of the bus. Never mind the fact that I am a victim of police brutality repeatedly. Well, I get to hear about, because of my color of my skin, that I can't possibly ever be a victim of police brutality. I could never possibly be a victim of a race crime or a hate crime. Well, those are completely untrue. I don't know what time this lady's going to be able to call with me and make... We got 3 very important calls to make today, and I have a bunch of paperwork that I'm going to have to try to type up. That's one of the things about somebody becoming familiar with the situation, is that you can't help somebody if you're busy talking over them. You won't know what help they need because you're too busy talking. When you're too busy talking, you are harming the victim 100% of the time. Last night, there's 3 different patterns of speech in a 3-hour conversation from me. The first pattern is me being overwhelmed and talking 400 miles a minute and trying to explain that it's going to continue to be that way until she can actually stop and listen without replying. And she did. We timed it for a full half hour. Amazingly, she actually listened to understand. Many of these people that listened, they didn't listen to understand. At the very end, they claimed they understood. And then, of course, as we move forward, these people showed that they literally didn't hear a word I had to say. They didn't understand the importance of it. They still don't understand how easy it is to harm me and to take advantage of me. You guys want to throw me in on suicide watch, where they take away everything that I have when they do that. They isolate me. That's what my predators did with the slander that they, of course, thought was fine. Oh, it's just a little white lie. No, I've been through 6 years of hell. I have not had a single real friend in all of this time. What I've had is bullshitters and liars. If you care about me and you can't shut the fuck up, you don't care about me. If I am being abused and you won't even hear it because you're busy being selfish, you don't care about me. If my loved ones are having their lives fucking threatened and you want to whine about your family like I'm being selfish because I'm thinking about my family and yours, you're a first-class piece of shit and obviously not a friend. If you're going to do horrible, horrible things to me and then hide behind your children as an excuse, you are not a friend. Anyway, when you want to continue to interrupt the person who is the victim, who you're supposed to be helping, every single interruption is a betrayal of their trust. When I was told I had to trust people, well, you want me to trust people with a history of ripping me off, taking advantage of me, ganging up on me? Especially women like Lana Engelheim. Anytime that she wanted manual labor done, I was her manual labor bitch because her daughter was, well, pretty fucking lazy. Her daughter would do some of the work, but that depended on whether or not there were people there to flirt with, because she's constantly fucking horny. So's her mom. So's Jerry Sparks. It's weird sitting in a room with 3 women who are talking about, well, their insanity when it comes to sex. For me not being interested in sex, it's a very weird thing for me to listen to people talk about it because it's gross. It's just really gross. Now, because I find sex to be gross, does that make me a pervert? Does that mean that I must be some sort of a sexual deviant, like Michael Allen Albert, or like Andrew Witcher? This situation got completely out of hand before Natalie was killed. It got incredibly complicated before Natalie was killed. But then there's the fact that I had to try to go to media who didn't have my best interest at heart. I had to go to friends that didn't have my best interest at heart. I had to go to police officers that didn't have my best interest at heart. I had to go to therapists. These are the people that I was sent to turn in the crimes against me. And none of them helped to turn in the crimes against me. What did they do instead? They rode the clock. They just wanted me to keep on going back so they could collect your taxpayer dollars. Would you rather your taxpayer dollars go to putting me in a place where I am protected and where people will know where I'm at. The thing is that your assumption of what they do versus what they actually do is not the same. Your assumption that I go into the hospital on suicide watch. No, I'm fucking trying to get help stopping the abuse that's pushing me to suicide. And that includes you treating me like I am absolutely nothing. I am unimportant. I don't matter. And then you want me to trust you after you have shown me that I don't matter to you. No, I don't fucking trust you. Telling me that I have to trust you, that it's not fair for me to judge you based on others. No, I'm judging your behavior. If all you can do is talk over me, you don't know what the fuck is going on and therefore should not be giving advice. Now this lady, she listened to me for like 3 hours, and it was a lot of her listening. The very beginning, I was overwhelmed. Then there was the period of time where she was actually listening to me. For the most part, she was not giving me her full and undivided attention. She was busy typing and messaging with others, but ain't no such thing as perfection. People got their own lives and their own things going on. The problem is when your life and your things pour over into my life and result in me being abused, I'm not required to shut up about it. A lot of people thought that they would be able to shut me up. Thought if they abused me enough, I'd go away. No, the more you abuse me, the more you solidify my resolve. The important part is the evidence. That's what people need to pay attention to. The fucking evidence. I need a safe place for me and my evidence. Now, I would have had that if it hadn't been for Natalie's death. No, I wouldn't have. Because I'd still need a friend or family member who cares, and none of them did. No matter what, there's always some excuse to be a piece of shit, and they sure as shit don't like it when I'm a piece of shit back. You want to talk shit behind my back and be a predator towards me, and then you want me to shut up about it. Fuck you. That's not going to happen. Either you care or you don't. If you don't, go away. Simple. I've got a grand total of 1 day. That's today only to try to get something done. And I'm hoping this lady will make some calls with me. When you ignore 6 years worth of your friend being abused, you're not a friend. When they ask you to leave, you should respect them enough to leave. Not to pretend like you're gonna do some of the things that you should have done in the last 6 years and literally go out of your way to not listen to the victim again. Caitlin Tatum just couldn't help herself. She just couldn't help herself. Isn't that your excuses? They can't help it. No, they fucking can. I shouldn't have to go to people who have a history of abusing me when they don't get what they want right when they want it. People don't understand what crippling panic attacks are. There's a lot of things that I am incapable of doing for myself because of the lack of resources and because of my physical and mental disabilities. You don't get to take as many assaults as I have and walk away just fine. I'd say 80% of the assaults that I endure on the average, well, in the last 6 years, probably about 80% of the assaults have gone unreported. Because I don't know the name of the person who did it. When I've tried to go in, I've had to go in alone and been threatened, harassed, and intimidated. Someone needed to go in with me. Did anyone actually go in with me? At what point in time was Miss Peaches ever in the room with me and the police at the same time? It never happened. And that's the problem. I was going to Jeff Ritter in Colorado and Kara Heller in Colorado. These are professionals, supposedly, with Colorado Coalition of the Homeless. What have they done since Natalie's death? Hide. I'm not capable of taking care of myself. That does not make it okay. Well, yes, it does. You have shown loud and clear that if somebody has been abused to the point that they can't take care of themselves, you think it is perfectly okay to victimize them for the rest of their lives. It's not okay. It will never be okay. When you go out of your way to make me feel unimportant, like I don't matter, my rights don't matter, I'm not a human being to you. When you've shown this loud and clear, and I ask you to go away, if you want to play victim, that makes you a special kind of stupid. When I turn in a pedophile, or when I attempt to turn in a pedophile, I make sure I verify it. I make sure I verify it with more than one person. It's because I end up having to verify it with more than one person, because while I'm in the process of trying to get help turning it in, I'm running into more people who are like, yeah, he did that to me, or he did that to my kid, or, you know, but they never come forward. They're fine with that predator getting away to do it again and again and again and again and again and again, like Officer Waylon Lolatai, like Sheriff Scott DaCosta of Dual County, Nebraska, like all of his deputies, and the multiple jurisdictions that he had me sent to prevent me from turning him in. Nebraska State Patrol committed a lot of felonies as well. They knew that sending me to Scott DaCosta was against the law. They knew that forcing an at-risk adult to turn in their predator to literally that predator is against the law. And they did this repeatedly. Repeatedly, officers there that I was trying to turn in were allowed to, over and over, interject themselves into situations in order to make sure that I couldn't turn them in, up to and including slandering my name and destroying evidence. This is not okay. The lady last night, I don't know what time she's even going to wake up. I kept her up until midnight here, so that would have been at least 2 a.m. there. She's trying to do her own legal stuff, so it is a great burden upon her to be trying to help me. And two of the most important things we're probably not going to get done today. I got to find some way to get a fundraiser started that I will actually have access to the funds. And I can't do that because of a lack of an actual address. So she said I could use her address. It's all the way in Alabama. That is a long way away. That's just for temporarily, though. The problem is it's all the way on the other end of the country. I do have somebody in Louisiana who might be willing to help me to get a place down there, and he's gonna call me at some point this week, but I have no money. This is the end of the line for me. With this lady wanting me to do all of this work to get a whole bunch of evidence that literally it's very little work. Very little work to get the evidence that was already fucked around with back. Starting all over from scratch is a horrible way to do it. I can't do that again. I can't. It's not possible. I can't do it. A lot of y'all don't like how mean I am to my predators. Well, fuck you. It's okay to be emotionally abusive to me. It's not okay for me to be emotionally abusive back. That's the moral of the story. Moral of the story, it is okay to assault me repeatedly. I'm not allowed to defend myself. If you beat me up, it's my fault for being disabled. You've made that message very loud and clear. BLM and many of their members have made that perfectly clear. BLM has showed very loud and clear that a homeless person is not a person to them. A homeless person is not a human being to BLM, no matter what color that homeless person is. I am fighting for all the victims. All of them. I don't care if you're black. If the cops beat you up, they beat you up. And it is wrong for them to beat you up. It's not wrong to beat you up for being black. It's wrong to beat you up, period. It's not wrong to beat you up for being homeless. It is wrong to beat you up, period. It's not wrong to beat you up for being a woman. It is wrong to beat you up, period. But somebody puts their nasty cockbeaters on you, you fucking do something about it. How many times are you gonna let somebody assault you? When you're called mentally ill, you have to. You have to let them hurt you. Also, this jurisdictional crap that they keep throwing at me. No, it doesn't fucking exist. It doesn't. This is long-term abuse. Judicial, financial, physical, sexual. And police officers have taken part in this abuse nationwide. You notice they never have funding until they commit a felony against an at-risk adult, and then they've always got the money to ship us elsewhere, don't they? If it's not to jail or prison, it's to another state. Oh, well, if Sean is on a bus to California, that means that he's not turning in the officers in Rawlins, Wyoming. I was trying. Problem is, Shannon Alvarado is a fucking alcoholic. She doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And she never shuts the fuck up. That's the biggest problem with all of you. You don't listen to the victim because your political opinion is more important. Oh, well, you know, blah, 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 blah. Insert stupid rhetoric here. As far as common sense goes, it's not common, right? Common sense dictates if you don't listen to the victim, you don't know what the fuck is going on. Common sense dictates that the sooner you turn it in, the more fresh it is in people's minds, and the more likely to have a positive outcome. Now, how many of you, obviously this is directed specifically towards women, How many of you, after being raped, went to a friend or family member and were blown off? Now, you know that you've got to go to the hospital and have a rape kit administered. How many of you had to try to do that alone? How many of you had to deal with police officers when you're alone and afraid, who want to talk to you like, are you sure you didn't maybe ask for it a little bit? There's a big difference between being crazy and being gaslighted and abused because you were gaslighted. My gaslighters wanted to gaslight the shit out of me and victimize the shit out of me and try to intentionally push people to harm me over outright lies. And you guys are all fine with it. Oh, you're mentally ill. That makes it okay. That's the point. That's the point right there. You use that as an excuse for people to harm me. It's against the law for people to do that, whether I'm disabled or not. But you use my disability as an excuse to help them get away with it. Now, this lady is going to hopefully make some calls with me. And I'm awaiting her message. I've got my computer on in there, and it's doing an update thing, so I have to hurry up and wait. There have been several assaults here in Tillamook that are not reported. It's because they happen quickly. I don't know the person who did it. I don't know what part of the town has cameras. I know that if it happens at Fred Meyer's, even if I don't know the person, there are cameras there. The problem is that in order to go to the cops, somebody has to make the call with me. Not for me, especially not uninformed. Not tell me to do it. I already know. If I go alone, I will be abused again. So we need to focus on this. On getting me a safe place where I can do the things that you want me to do. If you're going to ask me to jump through $4,000 worth of hoops with a budget of, well, right now I spent nearly half of my money for disability this month on a 2 nights hotel room. I don't know how many times I've had to do this. Had to waste everything that I have to try to get help stopping the abuse. That includes being forced into homelessness. I was forced into homelessness. It's not a choice. Many of my predators wanted to pull that, oh, well, somebody said that you chose. Fuck you. Who's your somebody? I cite my sources. When Amy Witcher told me that Andrew Witcher was molesting her daughter, who are my sources? Got a lot of anxiety. I'm also about to go in and get some coffee. We've been making jokes this morning about my vehicle because he come out and I think he's one of the maintenance men actually. We sent him out. Of course, he's a male. Who are you more likely to send out to do that? A male or a female? It's usually going to be a male. But sometimes you get a manager who wants to do it herself. All right. Well, sometimes you're wrong. Now, this guy, instead of being an asshole, when he realized he was wrong, he was very nice to me. Matter of fact, when I went in there, I was like, hey, man, I got to tell you did great. Yeah. You know, could have been extremely overbearing. Instead, you did listen. You did listen to my explanation. I did show you my key. You know, he said that he thought he was a little over rude. I disagree. It's scary for somebody to have to go through that. And, you know, for me, at least renting a room here, I got my key. So he understood I was just having a cigarette. I didn't tell him that I was watching a video on Spinosaurus, but I don't think that's important. I could be wrong about this, but I'm also fairly certain that watching videos about dinosaurs in your car is not against the law or against the hotel rules, so that's good. But look at how many people throughout this wanted to argue opinion. No, a fact is not an opinion. If a disabled person is punched in the face and they tell you they were punched in the face, it's probably because they were punched in the face. That's not an opinion, it's a fact. Now, for me, my predators didn't have to have evidence. The fact that they worked together as a group is what fucked me. None of my friends or family would help me to turn this stuff in. None of them cared how much these people were harming me, how much evidence was being destroyed. Because none of my friends or family cared to take a look. They didn't care who hurt me. They don't to this day. My Aunt Mary is probably, she's one of the most horrible people I know. But then again, she's had everything handed to her in her life. She's never been homeless. She had a good fucking start and lots of opportunities that nobody else got. Many of these opportunities, the only reason she had those opportunities are because specifically she is female and entitled to more than the rest of us. Now, many of y'all want to talk about how, well, you know, single mothers should be allowed this, and this. We should give up all of our this, and this so that single mothers can go to college. My Aunt Mary is not a single mother. No man wants to touch her. She's gross. She also talks down to people like they're retarded. That comes from years and years of being the director at a Jewish group home for at-risk adults. She's used to talking down to retards in her own mind. This is how you treat retards in her own mind. Meanwhile, my Aunt Mary, after retiring from that, wanted free money, so she says, oh, well, I have a developmental disability. Being a bitch is not a developmental disability. Selfishness is not a development, well, that's not true. Selfishness is a developmental disability. It's a debilitating illness. Selfishness. Man, you can't see past yourself and your own selfish wants. It's all about you. That's not what America is based on. America is based on we the people. Now, there's people like me who are not considered human beings by your society, yet we are expected to give more than everyone else. We are expected to give more and get less from it. You're out of your fucking mind. You want to tell me to get a job to go pay the people who harmed me to the point that I can't work? That's insanity. These officers knew all they had to do was press false charges on me, and I would be prevented from turning them in. Every officer knows this. Every single officer in America knows this. They go through a 6-week training course. 3 weeks of it, they're shooting at human silhouettes. I want that to register in your mind. They are training to literally murder you half of the time. The rest of the time is spent learning how to physically torture you and get away with it. They call it pain compliance. This is how, if an officer bullies you and wants to deprive you of your rights, here's what they can do to paint you as the bad guy. You must be the bad guy. They have a badge. There is no such thing as a good police officer. Not one. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.